Hello? Hello? Anybody there? What? I thought they said the elevator was working. Oh, so how did you get up here? How did Zev get up here? Oh.
How are you now?
Okay, Harvey, you awake? Harvey, can you hear me?
Where are you sitting, Kenny?
Right here. I mean, if need be, if we need more room, I'll use the stender, but I'd like to do it without having to stand.
Okay.
All right, how do I get my? I had to do a little negotiation, but at least.
Now I gotta figure out where I'm supposed to sit.
What if I can't figure the whole thing?
No, I mean, I don't have a makom kavua here.
I understand. Like I said,
So
if
wherever
I,
you sit is your own.
if I need to switch this around, I prefer not to have to do the.
Well, you don't wanna stand.
All right. We should have enough room. If I need to move back another table, I can do that. Right?
This is not legal. We're not allowed to go. Like the Zev can't come up here. We have to.
I know. I said, yes. And that's what I told them at a meeting that I wasn't invited to.
Right.
Until the last.
You be considered. You're only the Magi cheer.
Till I happen to walk in and all of a sudden I get called into an existing meeting.
To be given you.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna move. Harvey, you with me?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, I added one more row there. Ruvain, you want to get back to your regular place? Yes. When you can't fall asleep back there, though. You remember that.
I beg your pardon. He can fall asleep wherever.
He knows I'm kidding. All right. Okay, this is only going to be temporary. I hope so.
Uh-huh.
What?
Why can't do this?
It was, all right, we won't get into the whole discussion now, but I'm still gonna encourage that we go back to what we had.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about,
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
but we may need something a little better than that.
All right.
If we're gonna use it.
Uh-huh.
It's 33 feet that it says the range is, maybe need a little better.
All right. I feel like I'm sitting in the Finsta, Okay. All right, we are on Lamed Bet Amud Bays towards the bottom. I will do the sponsors first. I had to negotiate to get the tables. At least I figured, all right? Okay, year of learning, Sue and Arnie Garlick in memory of Malka Pro Man and Philip Man. And Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Bill ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosna Bas Arav Tzvi Hirsch. And in memory of family murdered in the Holocaust, Arav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Cheryl Sher, her children and grandchildren, in memory of her uncle, founding member of BRS, Dr. Israel Brook, Israel ben Harav Akiva, Marsha Federbush and family, in memory of her husband, Dr. Real Paul Federbush, Real Pinchas ben Harav Shimon, Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends, in memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Abel Bas Yaakov, Leslie and Gail Kaplan. Friends of Avi Gidler, of Ramea ben Shimon and Martha Gidler, Shana Bat Yeshaya, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova Bat Yisrael Dov in her memory. Is Sid here?
No.
No? What, he was?
He was.
Oh, he wasn't at the 7th. Friends of Malka Levy, Malka Bat Yosef, friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bat Asher, friends of Nina Moinestra and Nachama Asna Bat Yitzchak. We've got a month of learning by Charlie Gelfenstein in memory of his mother, Dacia Gilbert Meir Levi, Boca Babes in memory of their dear friend Susan Wortman, Chaya Ser Bat Alta Yosef, Chaim and Phyllis Reese in memory of his father, Mordechai ben Yom Tov Lipa, myself and my wife and friends in memory of Karen's mother, Nechama Bat Moshe HaKohen, Charlie Gelfenstein in memory of his father, Meir ben Yaakov. Have a week of learning by Steve and Edie Vigdor in memory of his mother, Mindel Bas Rav Shmuel. Today we have a day of learning plus Torah fun in memory of Spy, Susan Fruchter Kramer and family, in memory of her father, Moshe ben Yechiel Mechel, as well as Marvin and Hadassah Bienenfeld, in memory of his mother, Gudka Tova Bas Avram David. Also today, a day of learning by Eva Weinberger, in memory of her husband, Yitzchak Dov ben Tuvia. Neshama's have an Aliyah, Kranker Rafia, Velti Yeshia, Shem Atzliah, and Lachol B'nai Israel, a good Gebenshtia. Okay. All right.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Zev, you okay there? You right? Okay, Marvin, you okay wherever you, oh, there you are. Okay, very good.
If you give me that guy's email, I'll forward that material to him.
Which,
That he wanted to know about hearing aids. and shit.
Zev, he's sitting right next to you. All right?
Leave it, I'll print it out and give it to you. Basically, you have to take it.
Okay, well, let's look at the various psakim and see, all right? Okay, if there's multiple psak, then it could be that's the
Yeah,
issue.
but Suffolk derives a lachum.
I know,
So
I know.
as soon as
I've heard of that
somebody
before.
says that,
Okay, all right. Zrizim makdimim u'mitzvot was what we saw yesterday versus the issue of, right? The other side of the flip side is, of course, the issue of Bahadras Melech Kvod. Okay, that was part of the argument here too. All right. Anyway, let's start. Lamed Bet, Amud Beis, the Mishnah on the bottom of the Amud. Okay. Shofar Shel Rosh Hashanah. Ein ma'avirina lav et hatchum. Okay. And do we carry? I'm going to phrase the question differently. Could we carry a shofar on Shabbos to be able to hear it? Okay.
you go beyond-
Oh, well, we'll get to that, right? Okay, that's the first question. Could we carry it on Shabbos? And certainly, could you carry it regarding the Tchum on Shabbos? Okay, so the Mishnah says, Shofar Shel Rosh Hashanah, Ein ma'avirin alav et Tchum. You are not permitted to carry it beyond the Tchum Shabbat, right? To be able to hear it. which would seem to imply what? That if you're in the tchum, theoretically, you could carry it. Okay, so that's the question. Could you? Right, but again, could you hear it? Could you, right, carry it? All right, so that's what primarily the issue is to hear it. Okay, notice the Mishnah doesn't say that word, unfortunately. Lishmoa. Okay, so that's the point. Let's go on. Ve'ein mefakhin alav et hagal. We cannot, not permitted to remove when there's been a stuff falling down on it, rubbish or anything like that, to remove all of that, okay, to have access to the shofar, to be able to sound it, right? Okay, that's why I used it both, the issue of carry or here, right? Because lo alin ba'ilan, you can't climb up a tree to get access to the shofar, right? V'lo rochvina gabe behema, and you can't get on an animal. Okay, take your donkey out in the morning, okay, or your mule or your camel, okay, to get access to the shofar, right? V'lo satin al pnei hamayim, you can't swim across the river, right? Remember, we're talking about Bavel, right? To be able to hear the shofar or have access, right? Ve'ein chotchin oto bein b'davar shehu mishum shvut ubein b'davar shehu mishum lo ta'aseh. And you're not permitted to take an item, a utensil, in order to cut the shofar in any manner, whether it is prohibited rabbinically or whether it's prohibited d'oraita. That's the point. Aval im ratza litain letocho mayim o yayin. But if you want to put water or wine, pour it inside the shofar, right? Yitain, it's permitted. Ve'en ma'akvin et hatinakot militkoa, a new part of the Mishnah. And we don't prevent or limit young children from practicing or learning how to sound the shofar.
Actually encouraged them.
We're going to get to that even more so shortly. Aval mit askin imahem ad sheyilmadu, the one that becomes involved with them, okay, until they're able to do so. Vahamit asek, and I'm going to tell you what Koren's translation was, as opposed, and somebody can share with me what Art Scroll is, because I didn't like Koren's translation, to be honest. Okay, in this case, all right. Their answer was that if one was basically doing it in such a manner that it was practice almost, just not doing it for the sake of the mitzvah. Okay? All right. All right, absent-mindedly. Right, I didn't, right? Right.
The note says, refers to a person employed the chauffeur and accidentally produced the proper sound.
Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, it's very clear that they were not doing it for the sake of the mitzvah, that they were doing it for other means. They were either practicing, they were doing it Sure.
Happy birthday on it.
casually, okay, whatever, all of those things. Okay, what?
Good trick.
Right.
Playing happy birthday.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that
Okay.
turns out to be Tekiah Shvarim
Okay. All right. So in any case, Rahamit Asek Lo Yetza. Right. Okay, we'll get to that. Okay, so the clear implication is that one who is being involved with the shofar, not for the purpose of mitzvah, okay, the other people, he is not satisfying his own obligation, never mind somebody else's. Okay?
The one that seems very, very far out
Yeah.
is filling it up with water or wine.
Oh, well, we'll get to it. All right, let's go on. V'hashomea min hamitasek lo yatsa. And therefore, the one who hears it from that person who did it casually, nonchalantly, okay, for no clear mitzvah purpose, is not fulfill their obligation.
If you hear it like that,
How do you know he's doing it for no purpose?
Good question. Let's see, let's go on and see what the Gemara says. Okay, all right. So what happens, says the Gemara? My Tama, what's the reasoning? Shofar, okay, my Tama, shofar, asehu, that the commandment to blow shofar is a Torah mandated commandment. Vayom Tov aseh velo ta'aseh. And the Yom Tov has both a positive command and a prohibition, right? Ve'ein aseh doche et lo ta'aseh va'aseh. Okay? Right, so there,
Even where it's a midrabanan.
right, so therefore performing, all right, so our Koran's explanation was performing labor violates, okay, a positive command to rest and a prohibition against prohibited labor. That's how Koran decided to word that explanation, okay? All right, a little more, okay, so what happens here? Let's go on. Okay, lo alina ba'ilan, you don't climb the tree. Lo rochvina al gabe behema, don't ride on the animal. Okay, so the Gemara picks up hashta derabanan amart lo. Now that you said that something that's prohibited rabbinically is forbidden, why? Let's go on. Doraita mibayim. Was it necessary to say something prohibited from the Torah is also prohibited? You got they were all Rabbannans. Why did you have to say that? So what happens? Zo ve'ein tzarich lomar zo katani. Okay, what we're saying is that the Gemara wanted to present the more novel case first and then the normal case afterwards. Let's go on now to our new Amud, right? Ve'ein chotchin oto bein b'davar shehu mishum shvut u'bein b'davar shehu mishum lo ta'aseh. Okay, and we don't cut, all right, a saw, whatever, something, a shofar in preparation for the Yom Tov, whether we use something that is prohibited rabbinically, or whether something, the object, utensil is prohibited Torah. Mishum Shavut, okay, if we say it's prohibited rabbinically, Migale lo ta'aseh, right? What happens? Like a magle, a sickle. Okay, that would be an example of a sickle, something prohibited rabbinically. Lo ta'aseh, okay, what would be something prohibited rabbinic, Torah wise? Sachina, a knife. Okay, Koren had a picture of the kind of sickle actually that could have been used. Okay, and it was a very common utensil.
Yeah, well, why would a knife be prohibited? Let's say it's a steak knife. Why would that be prohibited? Why would that be rabbinic?
Because that's a normal way.
That's a normal utensil to use to cut things. A sickle is rabbinically would be prohibited. Why? Because normally it would be used for field work. Okay?
Using the sickle to shinoi.
Right. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, hashtem mishum shvut amar. Now that you said it's prohibited by rabbinic law, amart lo, and you say no, lo ta'aseh by. Why do you need then to phrase and ask the question about Torah mandated prohibition? Again, zu ve'ein tzarich lomar zu katani. Again, we'll teach the novel case first and then the normal situation. Aval imrat salitain l'tocho mayim o yayin yitain. Here's your question, right, Mom? Okay, why do we put it in? Mayim o yayin in. Yes, we can put in water or wine. Why? But me reglayim lo. We can't put urine in. Why is that? Matnitin mani. Mashna is according to whom then? Abishohi. According to Abishoh, the Tanya, who teaches Abishoh Omer, he says, Mayim o yayin mutar. The water or the wine is permitted. Why? Kedei l'tzachzecho. In order to smooth and make the sound more clear. You may, okay? May raglayim asur, urine is forbidden. Why? Mipnei kavod. Okay?
It would be even better.
It might, it's a, the item of, okay, provides, make the,
But this is talking about on Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah,
So
Okay,
you wouldn't be able to blow it if you put water in it on the day.
no, you wet the inside of the
Okay,
shofar
it's-
and improve and make it easier to blow. And that would be permitted.
okay, in other words, you
Use
want to
of
smooth the
material
inside,
that Even though it would do the job better, but because it's made reliant, it's. not
right?
covered.
Okay, it's not covered. Ein ma'akvin et hatinokot militkoa. We don't hold back the children from learning to blow. Hanashim ma'akvin. Therefore, by implication, we say with regarding women, we do refrain them from, right? Vahatanya, but isn't it taught elsewhere in a Braita? Ein ma'akvin lo et hanashim v'lo et hatinokot militkoa b'yom tov. That we don't hold back or restrain women or children on Yom Tov in this regard. Amar Abai lo kasha, he says it's not a problem. Ha Rabbi Yehuda, one is the view of Rabbi Yehuda. Ha Rabbi Yossi v'Rabbi Shimon, and the other is the view of Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon. Why? The Tanya, because we have a Braita that teaches Daber al Bnei Yisrael, citing a pasuk when it says to speak to Bnei Yisrael in regarding to do smicha, somchim, put their hands on their offerings, right? Bnei Yisrael somchim, ve'en benot Yisrael somchot, divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda is arguing on the men put their hands on it, not the women, because the women don't have the chov. Okay, whereas what happens? Rabbi Yossi v'Rabbi Shimon omrim nashim sumchot reshut. Whereas they, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon, say even though the women may not have the chov, they are nevertheless permissible for them to do so, if they choose to. And so therefore that would apply to other examples as well.
Be mostly herself if you blowed the shofar. No.
She could be motzi for other women.
No, she can't. We had a slave can't be mitzi other slaves. Women and slaves are on the same
Uh,
these laws.
You see elsewhere, there's a difference of opinion on that. Okay? Aval mit asek bahem ad yilmadu. Okay, but one who does it casually, we use that form. Okay, does not, right? Should not be learning. Amar Rabbi Elazar, he says as follows: Afilu b'Shabbat. Therefore, would it imply that they could even practice and teach the children to do so on Shabbos? Right? Tanya Nami Hachi in a Braita teaches. Hamitasek bahen ad sheyilamdu afilu b'Shabbat. One who involves himself in helping the children to learn, right? Ve'ein ma'akvin hatinokot militkoa b'Shabbat. And we don't hold back the children from practicing or learning to sound shofar on Shabbos. Ve'ein tzarich lomar b'Yom Tov. And certainly we don't have to say that that applies on Yom Tov. Ha gufa kasha. But here this itself is problematic. Amart, on the one hand, you say mitaskin behem ad shilam denu v'afilu b'Shabbat. Okay, that you can, if you do it even casually, you can be involved with teaching them even on Shabbos. Alma, therefore, the chadchila amrin and tikkun. Therefore, that would imply initially, okay, you could tell them to go ahead and blow, right? Vahadar Tana, and then afterwards, we have another Braita that teaches ein ma'akvin, that we don't refrain them. Ikuvahu delo ma'akvin. A delay is what telling us that we hold them back, we restrain them. Halechatchila lo amrin and tikkun, which therefore would tell me initially, I do not tell them to go ahead and blow. Okay? Lo kasha, that's not problematic. Kan bekatan, as we go over the next Amud. Shehigia lechinuch. On the one hand, we're talking about a child who reaches the age of education. Let's say what age we want to call that. 6, 7, 8, let's say, maybe even young. Okay. Kan bekatan shelo higia lechinuch. The other is regard to a child who doesn't reach the age of study. Okay. Now back to our issue. Okay. Vahamit asek lo yatsa. Again, Koren translated this misasek as one who acts unaware. That's why I didn't like their translation. I think what we said before was better. Okay? All right, Vaha Tokea Lashir. But what about the example of one who sounds the
Plays music.
right, who uses the shofar to play happy birthday or whatever? Okay? Yatsa. We do say that that person fulfills their obligation. Lema Misayele the Rabbah. This seems to support the view of Rabbah. The Amar Rabbah who says, Hatokea Lashir Yatsa, one who sounds the shofar for music reasons, the person fills the obligation. Dilma Tokea Lashir, perhaps one sounds it for music. Okay? In other words, what's their intent? Nami mitasek karile. Maybe we would also then call this person. Okay, so in other words, what's the intent of the Tana? Is sounding the shofar here, okay, without clear intention to fulfill the mitzvah? Is that the issue? Or was it as part of his practice, he also was intending to do it? Okay, that's the issue. Okay, so that's the difference between one Tana and Rav. Okay, next, v'hashomea min hamitasek lo yatsa, and one who listens, okay, to this person, okay, who hears it from such a person doesn't fulfill their obligation. Aval hashomea min hamashmiya la'atzmo, the one who hears it for somebody who sounds it for himself. Mai, what's the status? Yatsa. Wouldn't it be that they fulfill the obligation? Okay. Lema, let us say, Tihave Tiyufta de Rabbi Zera, that this would be a proof text against the view of Rabbi Zera. Da Amar le Rabbi Zera l'Shemaya, as in the case, I said, when Rabbi Zera said to his servant, Ikavein v'takali, okay, you have kavana and sound it for me. Dilma Ide Ditana Resha Mitase. Okay, perhaps it's such that this particular Tana would initially, in other words, the first Tana who we cited, would consider that an example of Mitase. Okay, Tana Seifa, Nami Mitase. And then the later Tana also might consider that an example of Mitase.
And therefore you're not yet.
And therefore he would not be Yotze exactly. Rav, right? Okay, even.
But the fact is, the halacha is like real estate.
Right. Okay.
So, but there are very broad implications. If you're walking on the catwalk and you hear Schwartz blow the shofar for himself,
right.
then you're not Yotze. He has to have intent
To include others besides
Where
himself.
Masha Ein Kain, if you're walking past the shul, the assumption is
That the Baltakia has everybody in mind.
And here,
Right. Okay.
Doesn't mention though, if you have something interposing between the.
We'll get to that. We didn't forget, Zev. Michael gave me his material. I'm going to look it over. He's going to say, you want to send it to Zev in English?
yeah, I have it, it's English and Hebrew there.
Okay.
Both.
All right. We'll look it over.
The translation.
Now, Matnitin. Okay. Seder Tikiyot. Okay. The question is as follows. This particular text, okay, tells us, what does the Mishnah say? Shalosh shel shalosh shalosh. Okay, I'm going to give you what Koren said. 3 sets of 3 blasts of tekiah, teruah, tekiah. Okay. All right, so that's the point, how they understood this. Shi'ur tekiah, what's the measurement of the tekiah? Kishlosh truot, like 3 truot. Shi'ur truah, what's the measure of the truah? Kishalosh yevavot, like 3, I'm going to translate it with Koren this time, whimpers. Okay. Yeah.
It's helpful to realize that at this point in the Gemara, when it uses the word teruah, it means shvarim. And when it uses the word yavava, it means.
I think you're a little ahead there. Okay,
You're not, it's inexplicable.
all right, okay. So that's the point right now. So shiur trua kishlosh yavavot, right? What is the three whimpers? The reason I'm going to leave it that way. Taka b'rishona umashach b'shniya kishtayim. If he sounded the first one and then stretched, all right, what, right? Umashach b'shniya kishtayim, and stretched it out like it's as if it were two. Ein biado ela achat. It's only considered to be one. Further statement. Mi sheberach. Okay, to me this was problematic, the language. They're referring to somebody who davened Musaf. Okay, all right. Well, I still found it problematic, the Lashon. I would have said Misha hit Palel or Misha Tzalah, or something like that.
But all through, we've been
Okay.
referring to Shemona Esrei as bracha, so
Well,
it's inconsistent.
V'achar kach nitmana lo shofar, and afterwards, that's when he finally got his hands on a shofar. Tokeya, right? He sounds. Umaria, there's a trua. Uvetokeya, and then another tekiya. Shalosh pa'amim, 3 times. Kashem sheshliach tzibur chayav, kach kol yachid v'yachid chayav. The same way the shliach tzibur, the chazan, whatever, is obligated, so each person is obligated. Right?
It doesn't say in the.
Doesn't say. It doesn't say. You might want to say to pray. You might say, does it mean to hear the shofar, to sound the shofar? It's here, I think, to hear the shofar. Okay? Rabban Gamliel Omer, Shaliach Tzibur Motzi et Harabim Yedei Chovata. Okay, that the Shliach Tzibur satisfies the requirement of everyone. Okay, now again, it doesn't say. Right? Do we assume it means davening, or do we assume it means that the same Shliach Tzibur was also the Baal Koreh and the, in other words, that he did both jobs? Okay, right? Okay, let's go on now. Gemara, Vahatanya, and aren't we taught elsewhere in a Braita? Shi'ur Tkiyot Kitrua, right? That the length of a Tkiya is like a Trua, right? Amar Abai, says Abai, Tana Didan, Kachashiv Tkiya Tekuhu Babe. Okay, our Tana was of the opinion, okay, that the Tkiya was like all of these sounds. Utruot Tekuhu Babe. Okay, and that again, that the Trua was these sounds. Tana Bara, Kachashiv, Chad Bava Vatulo. And another Tana, a different Tana, okay, was of the opinion that it was simply one sound and no more. Now, what are we going to have here? A machloket. Shi'ur Tru'a Kishlosh Yavavot. And now the Gemara tells us that the length of the Trua was 3 Yavavot. Now, we're still dealing with this issue of what is this 3 whimpers. And that's where the Gemara is going to deal with. V'hatanya. But aren't we taught elsewhere? Shi'ur Tru'a Kishlosha Shvarim. That the length of a Trua is like 3 Shvarim. 3 staccato blasts, I'll translate Shvarim at this point. Okay? So what then is the, okay? If the Trua is like 3 staccato blasts, how is that different than 3 whimpers? Okay? Amar Abai, Baha Vadai Pligi. In this, we clearly see there is a machloket. Dichtiv, where it's written, Yom Trua Yeh Lechem. As the pasuk says, you shall have a day of sounding Trua for you. Umetargaminen, and we explain this as follows: Yom Yevava Yihiyeh lachem. It is a day of what I'm going to call making sounds like whimpers for you. Ukativ, right? Why? Because they cite a written pasuk, be'ime de Sisra, with regards to the mother of Sisra, ba'ad hachalon nishkafa v'tevav im Sisra. She sat by the window and, let's call it, whimpered for her son, Sisra. Mar savar genuche ganach. Okay, one master felt that it was going to be like moaning. Okay, that's what it would be sounding like. Broken sighs. Umar savar yilule yalil. And the other master felt it was more like whimpering. So that was the argument that they had. How do you define, okay, this shvarim, right? And say that that's the sound for trua. Tanu Rabbanan, and the Braita teaches as follows: Minayan shebeshofar. How do we know it's regarding a shofar? Talmud Lomar. The text tells us vahavarta shofar trua. Okay, notice the words, and you transmit, pass around, share, shofar trua. Ainli ela biovel. That clearly, pasuk, applies to the Yom Kippur of Yovel. How do we say it's going to apply to Rosh Hashanah? Berosh Hashanah minayin. Okay. Talmud Lomar b'chodesh hashvi'i. That's where we say it's on the 7th month. She'ein Talmud Lomar b'chodesh hashvi'i. No, that the text does not tell us clearly that it says it's the 7th month. Okay? In other words, doesn't imply. Okay, we know that it applies, number one, to Yom Kippur of Yovel. Elsewhere, we have a text that tells us what's done on Rosh Hashanah is done like on Yom Kippur of Yovel. Okay, so why did you have to tell us Chodesh Hashvi'i? Okay, Umat Talmud Lomar, therefore, what does the text tell us? B'Chodesh Hashvi'i, sheyu kol hatruot shel Chodesh Hashvi'i zeh kazeh. That all the sounds that are made on the 7th month, okay, that they should all be the same. Okay, uminayin shep shuta lifaneha. And how do we know, therefore, that before this truah, or what we're now considered shvarim, we have to do this tekiah, a straight sound? Okay, how do we know that? Talmud Lomar, the pasuk said, "Va'avarta shofar truah." Okay, notice it has the word shofar before the word truah, namely uminayin shepshuta la'achareha. And how do we know also then that a tkiyah sound has to come after it? All right? Talmud Lomar ta'aviru shofar. Why? Because the beginning of the pasuk said elsewhere ta'aviru shofar. So we have to have a tekiah before it and a tekiah after it. So that's why we have tekiah, trua tekiah, tekiah shvarim tekiah, because the shvarim comes to qualify, okay, how do we do the trua? Do we do it one way or we do it the other way? Do we do it like moans? Do we do it like staccato blasts? So therefore we're yotze both opinions. Rosh Hashanah minayin, how do we know it's in Rosh Hashanah? Talmud Lomar b'chodesh hashvi'i. And it says on the 7th month. All right, just to go over a tiny bit. She'ein Talmud Lomar b'chodesh hashvi'i. But we don't really need it to tell us that. Umat Talmud Lomar. What does it tell us? B'chodesh hashvi'i. Does it really tell us on the chodesh hashvi'i? She'yu kol hatruot hachodesh hashvi'i zeh kazeh. That all the sounds would be one like the other. And that's where we'll stop right there.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you, Reb.